So, hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Hodgson, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the president of the Data Labelers Association, Joan Kinyua. How are you doing, Joan?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good. Joan, it's fantastic to have you on and to learn a little bit more about the work that you're doing. But firstly, could you give a little bit of a background on yourself and also your journey?
Yeah. So I'm a firstborn. I am a mother of one. I have a lovely daughter. And a little background about myself is I went to an all girls school
Yeah.
from primary school to secondary school all throughout. Like I've never gone to a mixed school. Um, Professionally trained, I am business administrator. But then it's because of family influence, because back then when I was still studying, a lot of things were being put into consideration, like the job market, and also because I'm from Kenya and a tribe that is really based on business. So that was what heavily influenced my decision in what I wanted to be or what my parents wanted me to be.
Yeah.
In For myself, I really wanted to do something with technology. I
Yeah.
really did not know what exactly, but something to do with computers, internet, and stuff like that. But then I did not have the privilege to choose what to do because parents usually have a very big influence in what you're trying to study. So
Yeah.
I did business administration and I also got a job at a school, a small school back then. So I'm a very organized type of person. Like I love systems that are really working. So I was very good at my job. But
Yeah.
then it was not my calling. I
Yeah.
really had no passion for just sitting in an office and wearing official clothes. So one of the things that I really do not like is just
I
yeah, like
understand.
having yeah. So my sister was fortunate enough to have friends who were working in an organization back then was called Summersource Kenya.
Okay.
And from the description of things, I was like, hey, so this is the type of thing I want. When I visualize myself, I want to be in an environment where I have my peers, I am working with computers. And then to make things even more interesting was the fact that it's something futuristic because she was trying to explain to me the types of project they're working on, and I was really not getting. But then when she told me it was something to do with self-driving cars, I became very interested because I want
Yeah.
to be part of that. I want to be part of the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I found myself in the data labeling space. I
Yeah.
was introduced to by my sister, and I went for a short training. I excelled at everything, and all I know is because I was so good at the training,
Yeah.
I only stayed home for 2 days, and I was called to work on Monday. So like I finished the training on Thursday, and
Yeah.
on Monday I was already called for work. Yeah.
Excellent. And for the viewers and listeners, could you say a little bit about what is data labeling? What is the kind of work that that you do, and also what purpose does it serve, Joan?
I'm going to be very like I'm going to explain it in a very simple way.
Please.
So I am going to use the self-driving cars or the autonomous vehicle as an example.
Yeah.
So for the self-driving car to recognize different things on the road, it had to be taught. It had to be taught how to see these things. It had to be taught estimations of the dimensions of these things.
Yeah.
So my role as a data labeler is to tag and annotate different things that are on the road. So, for example, there's a vehicle in front of the LiDAR vehicle, the autonomous vehicle. I need to properly annotate that there's a vehicle in front of it. You
Yeah.
can see it to what percentage, and then the dimensions are this and this. If there's a person crossing the road, I annotate that person. If that person is holding a bag, I annotate that person different from the bag that they're holding. If there's a child, also I have there are specific things that you're told to do. For example, there are specific dimensions for a vehicle, there are specific dimensions for children, for pets, and for everything basically on the road. So your
Yeah.
role as a data learner is to make sure you are annotating properly everything that is visible on the road, from
Yeah.
the pylons to the poles on the road, the power lines, the road markings, um, basically everything that you're seeing on the road, you have to annotate on the road and 100 meters away from the road so
Yeah.
that the cars can recognize different things on the road.
Yeah.
I can also use an example of the Roomba, which does the self-cleaning, or it's just the vacuum self robot,
Yeah.
where it has been taught how to recognize this is a toy on the floor, this is a shoe on the floor. So it does not concentrate on the shoe, rather it goes for where the dirt is. So it has been trained how to know different things and what is supposed to be sanctioned and what is supposed to be avoided. So it takes a lot of training because a lot of data is given to us and a lot of instructions. At times, there's a back and forth with instructions because the first instructions did not work, and then the tech bros or the people who are in charge of this
Yeah.
technology want it to work even better. So again, the data is brought back to us, and then some refinement is done and stuff like that. I hope I have made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then starting up the Data Labelers Association, now you're president of it.
Yeah.
How did this come about? What was the starting point for this, Joan?
Okay. So I was still an active data labeler when I started the Data Labelers Association. But before, like I was not concentrating on it fully because my kid was still small.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody reached out to me, a lady by the name Barhan Tai. She was doing a research for Sanford University, and it was
Yeah.
called the AI Hams. So when she reached out to me, she wanted me to be a research assistant. To be honest, I did not even know what that means or what my role was. Um, and then I thought it was a one-day job, to be honest. So I just said yes, I am going to do it. I'm going to help in
Yeah.
any way I can. So after uh, um, an interview, I was meant to understand that I was going to be working for around 3 months and some of the things that I was supposed to be doing. I
Yeah.
was confused the whole entire time, to be honest. But my role was to come up with a questionnaire for like to sort of highlight the harms that AI is causing on the workers. And I was also supposed to look for around 100 people for the interviews.
Yeah.
I know more than 100 people who have worked in this sector. And I was like, okay, so finding 100 people is not hard. And she was
Yes.
like, do not overpromise. I was like, hey, this is not hard for me because I know so many people. I was a trainer back then. So
Yeah.
I think even if you told me if I know 1,000 people, I can get you. And she was like, no, like do not overpromise. So I also second guessed myself. I was like, hey, okay, am I, is this what I'm supposed to be doing or am I getting it wrong?
Yeah.
So for the questionnaire, I was like, there were things I was also curious about as a worker.
Yeah.
For example, we usually check boxes when it comes to platform work. So there's nothing per se about me or if I get harmed or like anything about just the workers. It was only protection of their rights, like the you're not supposed to tell people outside the people you're working with what you're working on, blah, 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 and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But then I was not being like, there's nothing about me being the worker.
Mm.
Remember, when you work in this sector, it's almost impossible not to wear spectacles or glasses.
Yeah.
It's also impossible not to have back issues. It's almost not impossible. Like most of the things that we are really going through were
Yeah.
not being addressed. So I asked, like one of the suggestions was like, can we try and get to know if these people have contracts? And if these contracts are there, do people read these contracts? Do
Yeah.
people know what they're protected about on? Because again, I had worked on different sectors. I have been not different sectors, but different capabilities.
Mm.
I worked in a BPO. I worked as a freelancer. So in a
Yeah.
BPO, I remember it was like a 5 minutes thing. So you're given a contract and you're given 5 minutes to sign it. So you do not even know what has changed in that contract. You don't even
Yeah.
know what you're protected against in that contract. Like you know nothing, but you're given 5 minutes to sign it.
Yeah.
So I was like very concerned about that because you're not even given time. And another thing is you do not have access to that document because these emails are just work emails. When you go home, you cannot access these emails. So you
Right.
cannot even revert back and see what did I sign up on, what did I not sign up on. So these are the things that I was really curious about, and these are the things I was like, okay, so we need to know if people have their contracts if they have access to their hard copies, if you cannot access the soft copies. I
Yeah.
was like, kindly ask people if what they're getting paid is enough. Do people get paid enough? And then
Mm.
another thing that I had observed is the same organizations that are giving us work in Kenya, they're working also in the States. But in the States, they're giving people equipment, they're giving people laptops,
Yeah.
and they're making sure there's some few things that they were looking at when they're giving workers on the other side jobs, but then for us it was not really considered. So I was like, I think we should also add that because here you have to get your own laptop.
Okay.
And our laptops, like the kinds of jobs we were doing, really require high functioning machines, laptops, gaming machines.
Yeah.
And these are not cheap. So before you get yourself in this space, you really had to invest because first of all, you have to buy a very high-end laptop
Yeah.
that can crash at any time because of the task that you're working on. You have to make sure like you have high functioning internet speeds because
Mm.
these are things that are used to disqualify people. If you have a speed that is less of the things that they really want, that means you're disqualified. You cannot, like you're not going to put as much effort as they want you. And again, these things also depend on electricity, which also you yourself have to pay for
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
people really do not put that into consideration.
Mm.
Um, so that was another thing. I also asked her about medical health insurance. So when you work on the platforms, nobody really gives a fuck about you. Nobody really cares about you. So
Yeah.
um, you just do you. So in case you fall sick, you're not going to get paid. In fact, nobody knows if you got sick. So the little money that you're earning is what you're going to pay for your internet, is what you're going to pay for your electricity, is what you're going to pay for your bills. And then that money is also, when you get sick, is what you're going to take yourself to the hospital with. So it's like, do people really get this medical health insurances? So platform for BPOs, there are organizations that are giving people, yes, they're giving people medical insurances, but then the insurances are just for very simple hospitals, if I might say that,
Yeah.
because find that if somebody needs like very serious medical attention, they have to go back to their pocket and pay because the insurance that they have does not cover for that.
Mm.
And also, it was being used like to keep you in that organization. You're not being paid well, so the other organizations that are in existence are not giving you the insurance. So it's like baiting you, like it's, I don't know, it's like they're using it as bait to keep the workers there,
I
despite the
see.
fact that the exploitation, that like there's very exploitative conditions. So there was all these things that I was really curious about, and we just decided to put that in the questionnaire. And from that, I think that is when I started seeing things in a very different light. I started now um, hearing people's experiences, and then I'm seeing like some synergies and
Yeah.
some things that look like they're very intentional. Because I sat through, because I was doing the note taking, and I was also the one who had introduced the workers to the researcher, so I had to be present. And the things I learned during the interviews are very, I think I felt very bad and very sorry.
Mm.
And because somebody in that interview said that before they did not have any issue with their eyes, but they also,
Right.
after working this project, they had their cornea operated on, which is something I've never heard. There's something about the cornea operation. Somebody said that in instances where he does not have a shift, he goes back to living in the ghetto because that's what the conditions are. Like they go back to the slum, that's what he can afford. But then every time they have a job, they move back to a very like a nice place, better than where they're living. So
Okay.
like their life standards are really dependent on whether they have a shift or not
Mm.
having a shift. So I felt very bad, but then I was just doing the research, so I could not do anything. So
Yeah.
fast forward, most of the people started calling me and asking me, so because we told you all these things, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, okay, so for me, I was just playing my role, and I don't think there's anything I can do about it.
So,
Um,
You were brought
Yeah.
into this role and given everyone was
Yeah.
coming to you, so it was a natural progression that you were the
Yeah.
coordinator. Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. But then, so one on another thing that people really mentioned was the fact that they were losing their accounts and especially on payday.
Okay.
Then this hit me. My baby was still very small. And then
Yeah.
now they have closed down my account with all my earnings. And then now I felt like, okay, so this now has gotten to me. And I feel like I know people who can at least help me to amplify this thing.
Yeah.
So for me, when we started the association, I took among the people who we interviewed, seven of them who I felt like were very potential people to even speak and like express themselves and stuff like that. So we sat down, and I think we wanted to initially address the reskilling and the upskilling part, where oh no, like I lost my account, the other person lost their account, but then what do we do next? We do not
Yeah.
have any other skills because we've worked in this space for a very, very long time. So the skills that we had before have already evaporated from our minds. We do not have enough savings for us to go back to school. So we wanted to start an institution for people who have gone through these injustices, all in the name of artificial intelligence, but the school is supposed to be free.
Yeah.
So we sat down, we strategized, we thought around how we are going to phrase everything. And then we went back to the researcher and like, so we sat down because of the immense responses from the interviews and we think this is what we want to address, the upskilling and the reskilling. And she was
Yeah.
like, so from the interviews that we did, that was just part of that was part of the challenges. What about the exploitation happening? What about the mental health issues? What about the lack of social protection? Who's going to address that? You people are supposed to be addressing this. So why don't you digress from just addressing one issue and address the whole thing? Why don't you organize towards telling people what you do, your role as data labelers? Why
Yeah.
don't you organize, form a union and stuff like that? And that's how now we started thinking otherwise of speaking about data labeling and the role itself, because back then, what was communicated about platform workers was usually the ride hailing and delivery
Yeah.
and content moderation, but data labeling was not part of the conversation, but it's the biggest chunk of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And that's how Data Labelers Association was born. Yeah.
Excellent. And in terms of the evolution of this as well, how is this actually working in terms of AI? How is this changing the world of work, but also the role of data labeling itself?
Um, I think from just artificial intelligence, even for us when we started with something totally different. But
Yeah.
then because we were still in this space and then the invisibility in this space, they did not want to maybe train other people. So we were
Yeah.
slowly evolving with the AIs and the whatevers. Because first of all, we started with 2D tasks, and 2D meant that we can see these things. You can see this is a chair, this is a cup, this is a tree, or this is a car. And
Yeah.
then it moved from 2D to 3D. Now 3D, we are seeing things in pixel forms or in dot forms. So now you had to make like to be very, you have to have skills to know that this is a car
Yeah.
or this is a vehicle and this is a person and this is a, because there's usually like it was like really changing. How do I put it? It's really we were changing with it because
Yeah.
back then there's a lot of like low key information around how artificial intelligence is being is like how it's even working.
Yeah.
So now what we are seeing is I think fast forward to 2022 when there was COVID, that's when we saw a lot of now evolving of the artificial intelligence because from doing, I will not say in my terms, I'm going to say simple because it's something I was so used to. It is
Mm.
not simple in any way, shape, or form, but I'm saying compared to how things started changing from then, I'd say what we are doing back then was simple because it was usually concentrated about cars and stuff like that. But now we have people who have thought about large language models. And
Yeah.
then large language models have started working, but then somebody somewhere has sat and have prompted the LLM, and that LLM has sort of like led that person to commit suicide or has led that person
Right.
to hurt another person. So what the
Yeah.
LLMs or the owners of this platform did is, because these things are taught, they came back to us again, asked humans to think of the worst thing they can think of, and then put it in this LLM so that the LLMs can stop hurting people, or they can stop being sued for the output of this platform that they're coming up with. So one of the prompts, or one of the types of projects that we started seeing is, you're told, how do you skin a person alive, or how do you molest a 2-year old? This is some things that you asked to do so that the LLMs cannot respond to this, like they can be trained not to respond to these types of prompts.
Yeah.
So we started seeing now people for uh, postmortem issues. You see, like a lot of dead bodies, and then now you have to annotate these dead bodies, and then say like, this is a blunt trauma force that caused this. This was a bullet wound. This is a stab wound, and this is something like that. And then from that now, like from 2022 is when now we started seeing a lot of evolution, because I think AI had started. Now it's like, actually it's working. Like it's not an inception anymore. It's not a conception anymore. It's something that is really working. So everybody in this sector thought, oh,
Yeah.
now we can do, AI can do everything. We started being given scans, and then you have to, like, you're not, personally, I'm not a medical doctor, but I know how to read scans. I know how to read X-rays. I know how to
Yes.
read all these things. Yeah.
Mm.
And then the skills you're given only for a specific period of time. And then with whatever skills that you're left with, they leave you like that. So the more now, what we are seeing is, it has started to displace people. How it is evolving now. We are seeing more people now, they want very specific professions. For example, statisticians, they want mathematicians, and now they can say now they pay well. But back then it was sort of like, because it was, most people really do not know how AI was coming up there. If it's like labor is even
Yeah.
involved in the pipeline. So everything that you could imagine, that's how we were. That's the type of task that you have worked on. And
Yeah.
now, like, I think what I'm seeing now is most the LLMs,
Yeah.
and then there's specific then there's languages, and yeah.
Excellent. Wow, it's quite an evolution. And on top of that as well, Joan, more broadly, how is the sort of the platform economy growing in Africa? Are people choosing to move more away from sort of full-time employment to kind of contract work, to platform work, to portfolio careers? Is this something you're seeing being more popular and increasing over time?
Um, I don't think it's people choosing, rather
Okay.
than more of the advertisements, even
Yeah.
in the emails and in Google. So, first of all, the advertisements seem really cool, because, are you interested in a simple project, work from home project, and some extra income? Are you a stay-at-home mom? Are you a student? You see how the advertisements are being phrased. Like it's a very easy job. It's something very, like, I don't know, like catchy or
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
or yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So then another thing that also is used against people working this job is the fact that they're saying there's a lot of flexibility, but then
mm.
when you start this job, there's no flexibility. So I'm thinking it's the way this work is being phrased, as it's being advertised, that is very, very lucrative. Another thing is, when it comes to a country like mine, where I live in Kenya, I think a majority of us are young guys below
Yeah.
35 years, very well educated. All of us, before you go to college, you have to have a very nice machine. You have to, because this is something that you really need to go to uni. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's already a right market. Like people are ready to get to these jobs. And then when you go to uni, you need that extra money to survive, or to, I don't know, just push through life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that is what is making this platform look like people are really jumping into this sector. But then it's how it's being phrased, how it's being advertised, how, yeah,
So it's basically the situation that sort of people are getting attracted by it, and they're also counting on it to sort of supplement their lifestyles and their incomes,
yeah,
and in different situations.
yeah, yeah.
Excellent. That's
Yeah.
interesting to really know about how this is evolving. And also when you say that maybe the flexibility is not really a true flexibility, it's a perceived flexibility, which in reality is still quite limiting to individuals.
As for flexibility, I also thought I had some flexibility, but then you have to have a backlog of tasks. And when I say a backlog of tasks, that means you have to have a lot of tasks by the time you're getting paid, because
Yeah,
if you do not do that, if you depend on the 8 to 5 or you just do the 8 hours, best believe you're not going to get paid until maybe around 2 months. So you
yeah,
have to have so many tasks so that the reviewer can at least review two of your tasks, and then you might get your $20 at the end of the week, and you
yeah.
say thank you because I got paid. But like the flexibility is just a word that is being used to make it look like it's cool, or you can I enjoy the fact that I do not have to go through traffic. I enjoy
Yeah,
the fact
yeah,
that
yeah. Mm.
yeah, and it's a rainy morning. I do not have to wake up very early in the morning. I think that's the part about flexibility that really makes sense. But when it comes to
Okay.
work, the work itself, I used to put in 18 hours a day.
Wow. It's busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot
yeah.
of effort
Mm.
and
And
the
at times it's not, yeah,
no, I'm just thinking the effect this can have on you, sort of like working those long hours for a sustained period of time has its impact. It takes its toll on you physically and
yeah,
mentally, as you were saying.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Excellent. Well, Joan, it's really important the work that you're doing. Thank you for highlighting the activities that you're doing, and also shining a light on some of the thoughts and ideas, and raising a few of these things that we can discuss and take forward, because the sector and the technology is moving so quickly. The human element within this is also evolving and is being impacted. So. Thank you very much indeed for this indeed, and thank you for taking the time to come on and explain the work and the activities that you're doing.